webinar. This is organized by Nagpur Obstetrics and Gynecological Society in Ages of Practical Obstetrics Committee. And this is a very important webinar, and we will have Dr. Atul Ganatra and Dr. Mitra Saxena madam who will deliver their talk. So first of all, we will start with uh, in this year, in 21-22, we have this enormous vision and enormous mission. Okay, so I'm starting with this webinar. So first, before starting the webinar, we will have this enormous prayer. May we all be content and satisfied. May ethics and morality be an integral part of our practice. May we show a mark of respect and reverence towards fellow colleague, that nobody indulges in moral crimes like medical jousting or female feticide. May we pay enough attention to our own emotional and physical well-being. May patience and compassion be the fundamentals of our treatment and pathy. Let all to strive hard for the well-being of a mother, for a healthy mother equals a healthy nation. Together we can. Long live Enogeus. So before starting this webinar, we'll start with the inauguration. So I invite all the dignitaries. Um, Dr. Shanta Kumari, President Foxy, Dr. Madhuri Patel, Secretary General Foxy, Dr. Kavita Bapat, Vice President Foxy, Dr. Mitra Saxena, Dr. Atul Ganatra sir, today's faculty, Enogeus President Dr. Alka Mukherjee, and Enogeus Secretary, Honorary Secretary Dr. Ashish Kubde sir, for the virtual lighting of Samay. Jignesh?
सॉरी मैम, बट वो साउंड उसमें प्ले नहीं हो रहा पीपीटी में आपके.
नहीं हो रहा है?
नहीं मैम.
ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम. एक्चुअली नहीं हो रहा है कि एक बार ट्राई करो.
मैम मैं 2-3 बार ट्राई किया बट वो नहीं हो रहा है.
नहीं हो रहा है. ठीक है. So we'll proceed now because the sound system is not properly. So I invite Dr. Alka Mukherjee madam for her welcome address.
Yes, before that, Jignesh, we have Shanta madam's video.
Yes ma'am.
Yes, please play that.
Yes ma'am.
Yes.
Foxians. Greetings from Foxy. We come to you with the theme Foxy for All Always and Dhira Stop Violence Against Women. The World Breastfeeding Week is celebrated from the 1st to 7th of August every year. And this year, they come with the theme Protect Breastfeeding, a Shared Responsibility. Foxy stands for all mothers and newborns. Foxy is celebrating the World Breastfeeding Week, and we urge all members to participate in this initiative. Data says that India is lowest among the South Asian countries. Only 44% of our mothers initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour of delivery. And it's our responsibility to see that we increase this number of women who breastfeed their babies immediately after delivery. And WHO has identified that poor infant feeding practices contribute to the neonatal death. And this is something which we have to look into. Friends, when you see the data, almost 53% of pneumonia and 55% of the diarrheal deaths among the neonates are because of the poor breastfeeding habits and where the baby is not being exclusively breastfed. So we urge everyone to see that the mother gives exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of the life and continues the breastfeeding for almost 2 years. This is the only way we can ensure that the neonatal health is maintained. Friends, breastfeeding is not only important for the baby but for the mother also. We know It contributes to the mother to get back into shape. It has a role as a contraceptive and has been shown to reduce the risks of some of the cancers too. It is an emotional connect which bonds the mother and the baby, and it's a beautiful experience which we all have to nurture. Friends, we always tell our mothers that they need to take care of the babies, but it is not only the mother's responsibility, it's the responsibility of the whole family, the whole society to ensure that the mother is given the support needed to ensure safe breastfeeding to her baby. So friends, I urge you all to increase the awareness programs in your hospitals, in your societies, and send across the message that we need to protect breastfeeding as it is a shared responsibility of every one of us, doctors, healthcare providers, the families, and the society at large. Let's get together.
जिग्नेश, हमारे पास में एक दूसरा वीडियो था मैडम का।
मैम मेरे पास में यही वाले है।
अच्छा ठीक है, मैं वो आपको फिर से दिलवा देती हूँ।
यस मैम।
So Rashmi, are you there?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yes, I'm there.
जिग्नेश, आज व्यू बराबर नहीं आ रहा है क्या? आप लोगों के इसमें आ रहा है ठीक से?
मैम आप लोगों के यहाँ पे नेटवर्क कनेक्टिविटी का शायद काफी इश्यूज है, क्योंकि रश्मि मैम का भी बहुत ब्लर वीडियो है, आपका भी बहुत ब्लर वीडियो है
ना?
या तो फिर मेरे यहाँ पे, मुझे भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, क्योंकि मेरे यहाँ पे भी हो सकता है कि थोड़ा नेटवर्क इशू हो।
नहीं, आप प्रोमिनेंटली दिख रहे हो, हम लोगों का बिल्कुल, मैं व्यू में जा रही हूँ, स्पीकर व्यू में जा रही हूँ, प्रॉपर आ ही नहीं रहा है। मैं गैलरी में जा रही हूँ तो मुझे सब दिख रहा है। दैट्स व्हाई आई एम आस्किंग। तो वो शेयरिंग में फिर मित्रा मैम को वगैरह किसी को प्रॉब्लम नहीं आनी चाहिए। दैट्स
हाँ मैम,
ठीक है। Good afternoon, everyone. Respected FOXY President, Vice President Dr. Kavita Bapat ma'am, Practical Obstetric Committee Chairperson Dr. Mitra Saxena ma'am, past FOXY Vice President Atul Ganatra sir, all the respected NOGS members, chairpersons, Sadhna ma'am, Vaishali, Pranav, Master of Ceremony Rashmi, Honorary Secretary Dr. Ashish, Treasurer Dr. Pragati, all the delegates, a very warm welcome to this important CME on PPH. We all know PPH is a very important cause of maternal morbidity and mortality, and hence repeated brushing of knowledge is required. Along with medical management, we are going to discuss a very important molecule, that is carbetocin. Dr. Mitra ma'am is going to tell us about the details. The second topic is internal iliac ligation, which is a life-saving procedure in massive hemorrhage, and it can be effective to reduce bleeding from all the sources within the genital tract by reducing the pulse pressure from all in the pelvic arterial circulation. The studies have indicated that pulse pressure was reduced by 77% with unilateral ligation and by 85% with bilateral ligation. Let's listen it from Dr. Atul Ganatra sir. Wish you all a very happy learning. Over to you, Mitra ma'am. Rashmi, please invite now Mitra ma'am for her welcome. Rashmi, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Alka ma'am, for the warm welcome. Now I invite Mitra Saxena madam to address the gathering.
Mitra ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Jignesh, allow Mitra ma'am to unmute herself. नहीं हो पा रहा। Jignesh, are you there? Just a minute, Mitra ma'am.
Yeah. मैम किया है मैंने उनको unmute.
अब कर दिया।
हाँ जी जी जी।
Okay, so very good evening to the President of Nagpur Obesity Society, Dr. Alka Mukherjee, Secretary Dr. Ashish Gupte, past President Dr. Vaidehi Marathe, the MOC for today, Dr. Rashmi, and all the members who've logged in. Yes, the topic for today is extremely important. When we are discussing about PPH, it is almost as if we are standing in the labor room after delivering a patient, or in the OT after having taken out the baby and then suffering the wrath of torrential hemorrhage. So I congratulate the society again, because this is like a lecture or a topic which should be revised again and again. So I've been assigned the job to speak about medical management of PPH, and yes, I would be also speaking a little about the new molecule, that is the carbetocin.
Yes.
Why does this?
Thank you, ma'am. Rashmi, over to you.
Okay, so I bring you all greetings from Rewari, and thanks to Vaidehi, I'm almost a constant, visitor to Nagpur society. But I really like to rectify that it's not Rewari, it's Rewari,
Okay.
part of Haryana. So
Yes, madam. Madam, before you start, we have some.
Yeah.
Rashmi.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, Mitra ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am, nobody from this Foxy has joined. So should we proceed now?
No, Foxians won't join. Our members have joined. But before that, we are, Pragati is there? She is about to play
Yes.
video. Jignesh?
To continue,
Yes, ma'am.
Mitra ma'am, please stop sharing.
okay,
So,
I thought
today we-
okay, yes.
so today we have
Ashish sir, please unmute
birthday-
yourself and video on करा तुमचा. Ashish sir.
Happy birthday, Ashish.
आला का पण तो परत?
मैम पहले कौन सा वीडियो प्ले करूं?
एक पहले ना आशीष सर का कीजिए.
हाँ, एक मिनट सर. अच्छा सर.
आम्ही बर्थडे बॉयला धरून धरून पुन्हा पुन्हा आणावं लागतं, एका जागेवर बसतच नाही.
So
Sure.
today there is a birthday of Dr. Ashish Kubre. Sir, we wish you a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, sir. And my screen.
थँक यू मॅडम. धन्यवाद.
अरे थांब रे, अरे बरोबर येत नाही, तुझा आवाज येत नाही. येस रश्मी, आवाज येत नाहीये तुझा बरोबर.
Jignesh,
Yes, ma'am.
Jignesh, please play the video which we have prepared for to celebrate Ashish Kubre sir's birthday.
Yes, ma'am.
आशिष, व्हिडिओची किंमत काय माहितीये का तुला?
We want a big party from sir.
प्रत्येकाकडे एक
100%.
फ्री. आणि आशिष सर, वेलकम टू द गोल्डन फेज ऑफ युअर लाईफ विथ दिस 4 लाईन्स. संकल्प असावेत नवे तुझे, संकल्प असावेत नवे तुझे, मिळाव्यात त्यांना नवीन दिशा, प्रत्येक स्वप्न पूर्ण व्हावीत तुझी, हीच ईश्वरचरणी प्रार्थना. Wish you a very happy and successful 50th birthday.
On behalf of all members of NOGS, I wish our Secretary Dr. Ashish Kubre a happy 50th birthday. You have been our support in dire emergencies and helped us to rescue difficult cases and patients. Thank you so much. May your name fly high and high throughout the globe. Happy 50th birthday.
Wish you a happy birthday, Ashish. You're a great friend and colleague and a superb surgeon. God bless.
Hello Ashish sir, wish you a very happy birthday today. Enjoy your day and have a great year ahead. May you continue to do many wonderful surgeries and be the world's most renowned surgeon one day. All the best and have a great time.
Many happy returns of the day. Happy birthday, Ashish sir.
हॅपी बर्थडे आशिष. अशीच छान छान मजांना सर्जरी करत राहा आणि असंच सगळ्यांना शिकवत राहा. जे काय करतोय ते खूप सुंदर करतोयस आणि तुझी सर्जरीचं सगळ्या आपल्या इंडियालाच तू प्राऊड नाही करत पण बाहेर परदेशातही करतोय. तुझं खूप खूप कौतुक वाटतं. वन्स अगेन हॅपी बर्थडे आशिष.
Wishing you a very happy birthday, Ashish sir. Wish you health and happiness always.
Happy birthday, dear Ashish, and wish you many happy returns of the day. Enjoy your day.
क्या बात है.
के दिन हो 50,000. Happy birthday, Ashish.
मेलोडी क्वीन एकदम एंडला का?
Oh, Ashish sir, we need a big party. Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
आता
Thank you.
And
डॉक्टर आशीष को कोरियर से मुझको भी भेजना पड़ेगा.
ऐसा करेंगे, आपको बुलाए बगैर देंगे ही नहीं पार्टी में.
अरे आपका पोस्टपोन हो जाएगा. One thing is for sure, it seems Ashish, you are the person who rescues the patients and your colleagues. That's why
Yes.
all are so happy to wish you a very, very long life and very, very glorious times ahead. All the best from us also.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. The only principle I have kept in my life that to salvage a patient is different than salvaging a mother. एक अगर माँ अगर कोई गुजर जाती है in parturition, in a process of delivery or just after delivery, then the whole family disintegrates. वो आदमी उसका हस्बैंड वो तो 2 महीने में बेचारा नई शादी कर लेता है, लेकिन जो इनोसेंट जो नियोनेट है उसको समझ भी आई नहीं रही थी, वो पूरी जिंदगी भर के लिए अनाथ हो जाता है. Therefore, always it is qualitative difference between losing a patient and losing a mother. And when we apply these anatomical skills and knowledge in patient to just to rescue and without worrying कि ये अगर डेथ होती है ये पीपीएच में तो वो डेथ होने के बाद एक आध बार मेडिकल लीगल में जा सकती है, उसमें मेरा नाम आ सकता है, केस हो सकती है. आई डोंट वरी अबाउट दोस पार्ट एंड आई ऑलवेज व्हेनेवर आई कॉल्ड I only rush only for the PPH and always and as usual. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you, sir. So let your birthday be your birthday celebration be continued till evening, and NOGS will wish you in evening also. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I invite Dr. Ashish Kubre sir, Honorary Secretary, for vote of thanks.
Yeah. Good afternoon, all. First, let me thank all of you, all my the members of my fraternity for your compliments, and you made my day, friends. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is a CME, though we have considered it at short notice, we beg a pardon, but it will be a really a nice CME. The medical management of this PPH, there is lot new. There is no lot of material, but the new material, it will really a change of this direction of this medical management. The introduction of carbetocin and its superiority over the ergotamine alone or the pitocin alone, or in the combination of this ergotamine along with pitocin. Really, it is a wonderful drug and it has changed the horizon of the medical management. But many times medical management is not sufficient and you have to go for the other rescue methods like the O'Leary or the ovarian artery, and if not sufficient, then you have to jump for this intraniliac ligation. And I really thankful to Atul Ganatra sir as he is having the very wonderful video, and this Mitra Saxena madam, the practical obstetrics.
याच्यानंतर तू त्याला म्हण व्हिडिओ रन कर म्हणून बर्थडेचा.
The practical
त्याच्यामध्ये
obstetrics.
आपण तिला विश करू.
The practical obstetrics committee chairperson Mitra Saxena madam. We just remember her presentation in the last year, her deliberation on the episiotomy. A really wonderful presentation, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you very much. Our today's all the chairpersons, Sadhana Deshmukh ma'am, then Pranav is there, Vaishali is there. Thank you for your time and patience and the acceptance. Today's MOC Rashmi Bhaisare, our back office team Jignesh, Kapil, thank you very much. And today's program is because of this medical grant of the Abbott people. Thanks the Abbott people for this arranging the CMA. Let us proceed. Over to you, Rashmi, for further proceeding.
Yes, before Rashmi proceeds, let me wish birthday to other birthday members, NOGS members, Dr. Meenakshi Rathore, happy birthday, and Dr. Nupur Mishra. She is also sharing birthday with our secretary, sir. Happy birthday, everyone. Jignesh, are you ready with the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, just play. This year birthdays are very, we try to celebrate the birthday in a different way. They are hybrid birthdays. Jignesh, please run it.
बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, तू जिए हजारों साल, ये मेरी है आरज़ू। हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू। बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, तो जिए हजारों साल, ये मेरी है आरज़ू।
Yes, there are many members who don't come to NOGS many a times, and we want our tenure to be remembered by them by gifting them a memento at their home on their birthdays. That's all. Over to you, Rashmi.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we will start with the webinar. Today we will be having the two lectures. One is on the medical management of the PPH, which will be given by Dr. Mitra Saxena madam, and another will be by the Dr. Atul Ganatra sir, which will be on the internal iliac ligation. So we will start with our first talk, and I invite chairpersons Dr. Sadhana Deshmukh madam and Dr. Vaishali Changole madam. Dr. Sadhana Deshmukh madam, she is the consultant obstetrician and gynecologist from Nagpur. Dr. Vaishali Changole, she is the consultant obstetrician gynecologist. So over to you, chairpersons. Dr. Deshmukh madam.
Vaishali has joined.
Please unmute yourself.
Let me see, is she there or not?
Madam, should we start? I think they are not there.
Okay, okay. You introduce, ma'am.
Yes, introduce. Yes.
Yes.
So, our talk will be given by Dr. Mitra Saxena madam, which is on the medical management of the PPH. Madam is the senior consultant obstetrician and director at Shri Ashwini Saxena Hospital, Rewari, Haryana. Madam is the past president and now the patron of the Rewari Obstetrics and Gynecological Society. She is the project director Mukti of HAROBGYN to eradicate, educate and empower women of Haryana from female cancers, unwanted pregnancy and STDs.
Thank you, Rashmi. That's it now.
Okay, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
So I said it is Rewari. It's not Rewari, it's Rewari.
Okay, Rewari. Okay, madam.
So I expect that Nagpurians won't make the mistake of calling it Rewari again. Thank you
Madam,
so much for
Rewari
inviting me.
Rabbari is common, kya, ma'am?
Sorry?
Rewari and Rabbari. Rabbari also is one of the place at Rajasthan.
I don't know, but I know Rewari is our city. So, okay, I want to be allowed to share my screen.
Yes, yes, it's visible, ma'am. नो मॅडमचं तू हे कर ना. हा
मी स्टॉप करते मॅडम.
हा झालं सुरू झालं मॅम.
Okay, so that is my hospital. If you can see, Ashwini Saxena Hospital. This is Rewari Junction. Choti लाइनों का सबसे बड़ा junction all over India. We are famous for the brass utensils, and this is the Sultan Nishot engine, Rao Tularam, and this is the map of Haryana. Rejangla, if you have anybody heard about the war in Kargil. So we are all well aware that PPH is the leading cause of maternal deaths in India. Surprisingly now, the PPH is more after cesarean sections than after vaginal delivery. And we have been talking about how to improve maternal morbidity and mortality, and still we have to remember that PPH is a story of blood loss, maternal life jeopardy, sacrifice of uterus, and obstetrician's nightmare with very high possibility of litigation, heartaches, and just as Dr. Ashish said, some amount of pain because some children may become orphans. But it is the uterotonics and our skills and the correct decision making where all this could be saved. So I'll be talking about the medical management and trying to take you from tragedy to empowerment. My resources are these, and without wasting much time, let us always remember that the dreaded complications of third stage of labor are always hemorrhage and to some extent retained placenta, and now almost extinct uterine inversion because of better techniques. Defining PPH traditionally is blood loss over 500 ml, primary PPH within 24 hours, secondary PPH anytime after 24 hours up to 6 weeks of purpurium, and in the low-income countries is still a leading cause of maternal mortality. However, it is very heartening to know that because of very clear-cut guidelines by WHO and uniformly practiced AMTSL in almost all countries, the incidence of PPH is coming down, MMR is coming down. So before we go into the details, let's just revise why PPH occurs, because we know that the blood flow to the placental bed is so big, 750 ml per minute, and maternal volume at term is 7 liters. If it was not for nature's fantastic physiological mechanisms, a woman would be exsanguinated in minutes. So we all know that the 4 phases of placental separation are latent phase, contraction, detachment, and expulsion. And the beautiful architecture of the uterus, the inner circular, the middle spiral, and the outer longitudinal layer, they all work in tandem and they act like a living ligature, which is the reason why women don't die. Not every woman dies in labor because of blood loss. However, wherever there is high risk, we know that there are this mnemonic, the 40, I don't think any obstetrician would ever forget. And we know that atony accounts for 70% of the PPH, whereas trauma, tissue left behind in the form of placental cotyledons or retained membranes, and less than 1% because of coagulopathies. These are all the most important etiological factors for PPH. High risk, of course, none of us can relax when we have a grand multipara or a uterus which is overdistended, twins, big baby, or there is anemia. It's an augmented or a prolonged or a precipitate labor. You know, if you're either way of the normal, there can be PPH. Of course, operative delivery and choriomyelitis. So, as I said earlier, that on the recommendations by WHO, FIGO, our federation, all the European countries, Australia, every country has this, put it in place that there has to be active management of third stage of labor to prevent postpartum hemorrhage. So what it is done is the uterotonics are used prophylactically. When we were students, we used to learn that how we can allow the placenta to separate, the uterus will contract, and once the uterus contracts and the cord lengthens and the placenta comes and lies in the lower segment, and that's the time we take it out. But now the trend has changed. We enhance the process of separation and detachment by the timely use of the uterotonics, because we found there's enough evidence that the amount of blood loss reduces by almost 50%. So AMTSL is a prophylactic, deliberate, effective intervention wherein the placenta is removed and not allowed. Expectant management is no longer preferred because we know that there is a substantial decrease in the blood loss. So a quick recap is that a uterotonic, and that is the syntocinon oxytocin, is given IM immediately at the birth of the anterior shoulder or after the baby. The placenta is, the uterus is massaged, and with controlled contraction, the placenta is removed completely. So we all know that all the medicinal products that work on the uterus and make it to contract, they are the constituents which are used prophylactically or also therapeutically. So it's not that in all patients with AMTSL, there will be no PPH. There will be cases where the uterus will still be refractory and you may need to have the second line of drugs. So happy to share with you all that all the time-tested molecules from oxytocin to ergometrine, methylergometrine, PGE2, bisoprostol, carboprost, we have all these medicines acting on the uterus, which are called as uterotonics. And now to add to our armamentarium is carbetocin. So friends, I will be taking you through all these products which have been in use, because actually we know all the theory. Problem arises when we are actually in the middle of managing a PPH, then it just goes out of our mind. How many times can we repeat methergine? At what frequency can we give carboprost? So this lecture of mine, I'm going to recap these important fundamentals, and of course also, briefly telling us about the new molecule carbetocin and how it is improved modality in place of oxytocin and ergometrine. So, okay, before I go on to the details, I'll try and complete the list of managing atonic PPH is that after assessing the blood loss and clinical condition, we should never forget these simple maneuvers, and that is the aortic compression, the emptying the bladder, and the bimanual compression. So, every obstetrician instinctively knows that when there is blood pouring down from the introitus, once the uterus is, the placenta is out, our right hand goes inside the vagina and the left hand is on top of the abdomen, and between our two hands, we compress the uterus, and this is the bimanual compression, and an assistant will empty out the bladder, and still if the hemorrhage is not controlled, while we are asking our assistants to give the uterotonics, we can teach another staff member to press on the aorta and compress and decrease the pressure head, the flow from the aorta itself. So beginning the talk with, of course, the love hormone, the oxytocin, that has stood the test of time. But yes, we also know the limitations, that oxytocin, if it is not refrigerated, it loses its potency. Just like if love is not nurtured, then love becomes ineffective. So also oxytocin, when you want the best action from oxytocin, make sure that either you have a small fridge in your labor room or a ice box or some mechanism where your staff nurses will be bringing, not breaking the cold chain, because you'll find that the minute your brand is changed or this cold chain is broken, you'll find that there are more number of PPH happening in patients despite you're doing AMTSL with oxytocin. So the small thing is that either the molecule that is available in your pharmacy somewhere from behind the cold chain is not maintained, or even in your own setup, you're not maintaining that. And this is one change I did in my own labor room, and I found remarkable change in the potency. We used to use syntocinon and patient used to not get the desired contraction. And then of course, PPH also. Then we realized that it is that we have to maintain the cold chain. So oxytocin is very effective, can be used IV or IM, but we have to understand that if we give it IV bolus, it has a very severe hypotensive effect. And that could be quite detrimental if a patient is very anemic or has a heart disease. So you have to know what route you're using, which medicine. They're all extremely effective. And remember, whenever any medication is going to make the uterus contract, a very good amount of blood in the uterus is going to go into the general circulation. So wherever the hemodynamic instability is there, it's going to cause havoc. We may not have PPH, but we may have heart failure. So it is very important to always remember that oxytocin works very quickly, but gets washed off very quickly, and it doesn't have a sustained effect. So what is important here, the crux to remember is that the side effects are related to the dose and the rate and the route of administration. So syntocinon or oxytocin is best used as a slow IV infusion so that the severe hypotension is avoided. And we all have this practice of putting 10 or 20 units in 500 ml saline after the delivery is done. At AMTSL, we are giving intramuscular or 5 units IV bolus, provided there's no high-risk case like heart disease or something. In a normal case, we can give it IM. I prefer to give it IM, the first dose, and after the placenta is out, put it in the drip also. Now let's talk about ergot alkaloids. Again, ergometrin and methergine is again heat sensitive and temperature sensitive. So if this is not maintained, these drugs, they lose their potency. In difference to oxytocin, ergometrin, it causes more prolonged contraction. The mechanism of action is it induces fast rhythmic contractions, which is sustained. So the effect of ergometrin or methyl ergometrin lasts longer. It sets up within 2 to 5 minutes, but it has a prolonged duration of action. So where there's no side effect and there is atonic PPH, for example, though there's no heart disease, nothing or no hypertension, where use of methergine can cause problem because it can cause sudden increase in blood pressure and patient may throw up a fit. So once we know that there are no such limiting factors, then ergometrin is very effective in maintaining, managing atonic PPH. So the bottom line of this slide is that oral administration takes time for effect, but it is not predictable. So because of bioavailability, but yes, many practitioners are very fond of giving oral methyl ergometrin after the process of MTP or evacuation is done. However, in labor, its use is only to control PPH. And its onset, as I said, is in 2 to 5 minutes. And ergometrin, along with oxytocin, symptometrin, works very well because it combines the effect of both oxytocin and ergometrin. Effect arises early and lasts for longer time. So the side effects of ergot alkaloids is that it leads to headache, postpartum pain, analgesia, vomiting, nausea, and of course, rise in blood pressure. So another molecule which is of immense importance and which really is a second line drug for managing atonic PPH is the time-tested carbaprost. Again, this is temperature sensitive. We have to maintain the cold chain even in carbaprost, 15-methyl prostaglandin F2 alpha. It's a very good uterotonic. And when the uterus is atonic, not responding to oxytocin or methergine, we know carbaprost comes to our rescue. So what is important is that it has a single dose of 0.25 milligram given deep intramuscularly. It can even be given intramyometrial. under direct vision at cesarean section, transabdominally, transvaginally, which is of course off-label use. Now, how often can you repeat carboprost? It can be repeated every 15 minutes, but you cannot go beyond 8 doses. So this is what is very important, that maximum you can give 2 milligram and repeat every 15 or 30 minutes, and period. After 8 minutes, you should not. In any case, personally, we will find that if we have to use carboprost so many times, it would be better that we should have gone on to the other modality, which is tamponading, or consider doing a brace suture or something. So because I think as an obstetrician, what we learn in our practice is our minds, our race in the mind has to be faster than the speed of the blood. So if we find that the uterus is relaxing in between, we've given the methergine or the carboprost and still it is relaxing and coming, we have to put our hand, we have to do the bimanual massage, and then also start preparing for tamponade or send the blood samples for cross-matching and consider counsel for brace or whatever. We have to be one step ahead of the hemorrhage. That is the bottom line. If we remember that, all the molecules which are there, which have been used by all of us for almost all our 20, 30, 40 years of practice, but it is always, if we are ahead of in that race, we'll be able to save the life. As Dr. Ashish so rightly said, that if you can anticipate that what will be better in the coming 5-10 minutes, and you've tried your tamponade, but if you've sent a call to your colleague who can come in and we can open up the abdomen, do the ligation or do the brace. So we always should be one step ahead. That is my learning experience about managing high-risk obstetrics in a single stand-up unit. So carboprost is again non-selective constrictor of smooth muscle. It is very effective, but it has a lot of side effects. So we all know nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, pyrexia, and where patient has bronchospasm, then this is contraindicated. And this is what we have to teach our staff also, that if I'm asking for carboprost and even if I forget, you please ask कि भाई आपको सांस की कोई तकलीफ तो नहीं है, because it is in the times of emergency when the patient is pouring our instructions for the medication and we may ourselves forget to take a history. So these are very important, that the whole team should remember, at least somebody should have taken that history. So as I said, all these, you see oxytocin, syntocinon, methergine, carboprost, all are heat sensitive. So now comes one very favored product, and that is the misoprostol. It can be used because it is not sensitive to temperature, and it is very, as compared to the other injections, very cheap also. It is effective, definitely it is very effective, and it is effective by all the routes, orally, sublingually, buccally, perrectally, pervaginally. And onset of action is very fast, 10 to 15 minutes, except in the rectal route where it can be slow. Its half-life is 20 to 40 minutes. Many practitioners are now combining the AMTSL along with misoprostol to manage and prevent PPH. So in low resource setting, because see, in low resource setting, if you cannot maintain the cold chain, then definitely this comes as a very, very big rescuing drug. So all of us are quite cognizant of the fact that FIGO and WHO have recommended 600 microgram orally when injectables, uterotonics are not available, especially in the PHCs where the nurses are delivering. They may not have refrigerators or icebox. So misoprostol is their mainstay. What is important to remember is a lot of us are very much bothered because of the shivering and the fever, which happens because of misoprostol. But the good news is that it declines almost spontaneously. And there can be vomiting and diarrhea, and especially highest symptoms are with the sublingual usage. Personally, I don't know, I've stopped using misoprostol ever since I came to know that the drug inspectors are very strict. So I thought it's enough that I manage the MTP kits and I do not have the misoprostol. And I'm happy to say just maintaining the cold chain has helped me tide over atonic PPH. So it will be quite important to even talk about tranexamic acid, because this is also a good molecule, which when used prophylactically did show some reduction in the incidence of PPH, especially in cesarean births. There are many of senior obstetricians many years ago who have started using this use of tranexamic acid while doing cesarean section, and they have actually presented papers and all, Dr. Narendra and Dr. Jaydeep, that this is a very good molecule for prophylactic control of PPH in cesarean sections. Personally, I do not use tranexamic acid, but it is an effective agent, and it's an antifibrinolytic drug that is useful for both prevention and treatment of bleeding in various clinical settings, especially the operative settings. So it does promise to be a good prophylactic agent, although this is not regularly introduced as a product in the guidelines. So we have to understand that it is administered, 1 gram is administered intravenously and over 10 minutes. It cannot be rushed as a bolus. It does cross the placenta, but no fetal harm is reported. And it appears to be more effective if administered at the beginning of the cesarean. So these are some important learning points if somebody would like to use tranexamic acid, is how to use it and when to use it to get the best effect. So a word about the possible complications, because it's an antifibrinolytic agent, so obviously it will be something that is going to cause coagulation. So a theoretical risk of thrombosis and thrombosis, although it is not substantiated by evidence. Now comes the most important and most awaited molecule, and that is the carbetocin. So what is carbetocin? It's a synthetic analog of...
Please mute everyone. Just a minute. Vignesh, please mute everyone and unmute ma'am. Mitra ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Okay, so now next few slides, I will be talking about carbetocin. Of course, I'm sorry, friends, the actual presentation, which was very exhaustive, was not with me. So this is just a summary of what I had prepared for the Hyderabad hybrid conference. And I added the slides of carbetocin because I was told I must speak about this new molecule, which is very promising. I think by now everybody in the audience would have heard, and most of you would have even used it. Personally, I haven't used it, but I do have carbetocin. And actually why I haven't used this is because I'm still not ready to use it as a prophylactic agent. I would prefer to use it as a second line agent, especially because in my setup, I'm very comfortable with the oxytocin. However, during the course of our talk, we will realize that there are now protocols to say that carbetocin can be used prophylactically in AMTSL in place of oxytocin, simply because it has a very, very big advantage of being heat stable. But then when it comes to the pricing is at least 10 times more than that of oxytocin. So now coming to what this molecule is all about. It's a synthetic analog of oxytocin. It is long acting, and it is all the advantages that it is a utrotonic, but it has a prolonged action. So the half-life is at least 4 to 10 times longer. So if it was 4 minutes for oxytocin, it is 40 minutes for carbetocin. So this is very, very positive function of carbetocin. It binds to the smooth muscle receptors of the uterus and has been reported to produce a tetanic uterine contraction within 2 minutes, lasting for at least 40 minutes. And in fact, the data says that you do not need to repeat a utrotonic if you've used carbetocin. So let's come to the effectiveness. It has been found that it is more effective than placebo or no other treatment. It is, as good as oxytocin or even better, because it has similar onset of action and a longer duration of action. Also more effective than oxytocin. The dose is 100 microgram carbetocin administered IV over 1 minute, and it can also be given intramuscularly. See, this is such a big advantage when you're giving something in 1 minute or you're giving something in 10 minutes. You have to understand that when we are dealing with delivery, after the delivery of the baby, if we give some drug which goes in within a minute, it is going to give good, result sooner. But suppose we had to give something very, very slowly, then more time has to elapse before we get the placenta out. So this is again, I think, a very big advantage that carbetocin can be given within 1 minute, not faster than that. It has similar side effects as compared to oxytocin, but yet not too much has been used. So we are still having a limited data. Half-life, as I said, of carbetocin is 40 minutes as compared to oxytocin. And we know, as I just said, that as effective as 16 hours of continuous oxytocin infusion. So friends, if we are to use oxytocin for 16 hours, I'm sure we would be using many, many more units. Compared to that, then carbetocin will come out cheaper because it's just 1 vial, which is for around 399 or even 200 rupees. Whereas if we were to use oxytocin infusion for 16 hours, we would be putting many more ampules of oxytocin, which again are not very cheap and also need the cold chain. So we have to understand that carbetocin does not need repeated administration. Dr. Pramila Malik, my colleague in Gurgaon, has used carbetocin as AMTSL, just like we use oxytocin. She has used it in 15 patients, and she was happy to share her data that not a single patient developed PPH. So that's quite encouraging. If some patient can afford, then there's no harm in changing loyalties. So, of course, those who are manufacturing carbetocin and who are promoting will definitely spell out all the positives of carbetocin with respect to oxytocin, which has been the gold standard as of now for managing AMTSL. But there will be some contraindications. Epilepsy, eclampsia, and before delivery, it can cause respiratory or cardiac distress in mother or baby. And it has to be used with caution in hypertensive patients, because we all know that anything that is going to contract the uterus very strongly, a very big volume of blood is going to be thrown up into the general circulation. And then that hypertension or that extra pool of blood is going to cause havoc in patients who are vulnerable with respect to their blood pressures or their cardiac status. So it's happy to see that WHO in its recommendation has introduced carbetocin for AMTSL. And Carbetprost, friends, is not a medication for AMTSL. It is the second line drug for managing PPH, atonic PPH. So I try to, bring in all the molecules which are available for us to use when we are confronted with atonic PPH. And now, with the availability of carbetocin, I think there is enough amount of studies that have happened in our own country itself, because the WHO trial for carbetocin versus oxytocin, there were in 10 countries, there were so many centers in India that have participated. And this champion trial is very heartening and very comforting that if monetary consideration is not of too much consequences, then this can be introduced in your own setup. And I'm sure that some molecule which is so good, very soon Foxy is going to do advocacy for it and insist or try to work their way, work our way across with the government of India and regulating the pricing of carbetocin. And then that will be really very, very good time for all of us, where we can use carbetocin without any guilt, without worrying about the temperature maintenance, which is a very, very big limitation factor with oxytocin. So friends, in cesarean section also, and in vaginal delivery, the dose is same. It is to be administered in a single dose as a bolus over 1 minute after the delivery of infant. Always after, because what we are trying to achieve is a strong, sustained contraction of uterus, which will help in the separation of the placenta so that the active management of third stage is accomplished and PPH is prevented. So I think there is enough evidence and enough has been talked to show that carbetocin is superior to oxytocin because of its, especially its stability, its duration of action, sustained action, and no need to have repetition. And it decreases the need of blood transfusion. Also, the pain that is so much with ergot alkaloids is not there with carbetocin, and the side effect profile is pretty less. Similarly, it is better as compared to the ergot alkaloids, which are very much limited if a patient has migraine or some hypertension or cardiac problems. Again, carbetocin is superior over prostaglandin analogs also, simply because of its profile. So the most efficient uterotonic and most awaited uterotonic is here now in India, in our country. Now, these are some charts. If somebody would like to take a quick screenshot, I will keep it for a few seconds, because I personally have this chart in my labor room, because at one glance, I haven't put in carbetocin because when I made this chart, I wasn't having the dosage. But yes, it's very simple. We can add one column of carbetocin also and write 100 micrograms, IV 1 minute slowly, and single dose, and no contraindication. So this chart, I find every obstetrician should have enlarge it, laminate it, and just put it there in your labor room, and never bank on only one drug. I think our knowledge about everything, even though we know about carbetocin, doesn't mean that we can forget our time-tested Metrogyl or our time-tested carbapenem. So have everything, have the Barood, have the Gola, have the rifle, have the AK-47, everything in your armamentarium, because on atonic PPH, what works, you don't know. And also have the Bakri balloon or the tamponade, or have the phone number of your best friend in your labor room, in the mobile of your staff also, they will call that person immediately. So now this is a judicious decision that when should we shift over from the first line to the second line of uterotonics, because we have to always remember that if the uterotonic is not effective, it means the uterus has become refractory. All the receptors are now saturated. So you can't go on and on giving more and more of syntocinon or more and more of Metrogyl and hope that the uterus is going to, respond. If it doesn't, then rule out the other causes for PPH, that is the other 3 of the T's, and manage the blood, arrange the blood, and think of the next step, which could be the surgical interventions. I'm so happy that being a speaker today, I'll again get to listen to Dr. Atul Ganatra when he'll be talking about internal iliac ligation, and I'm going to leave it at that. And thank you so much. In times of stress, it is very important to actually be very, very calm. Eye of a storm is very quiet. Thank you so much, friends, for listening to me patiently.
Thank you, madam, for the wonderful talk. Just because the chairperson, they are in some emergencies, they could not join. So I invite Dr. Ashish Kubde sir and Dr. Anuja Bhalerao madam to sum up the talk.
Good evening, everyone. Mitra ma'am, it was wonderful revision of the medical management that you spoke of. And you very aptly told us everything about the role of tranexamic acid and oxytocin as a primary response for medical management of PPH. This inclusion of tranexamic acid in the first line management has really helped a lot, which is to be given 1 gram stat, and it can be repeated after 30 minutes. Carbetocin, the newer drug, was very well highlighted by you, a long-acting newer alternative, which is really heat stable. And thank you so much for enlightening us about the carbetocin. We at NKP Salve Institute of Medical Sciences have used it in 3 or 4 patients with excellent results as far as carbetocin is concerned. And I would just like to end up with saying that it's not only the clinical skills that are important, but the non-technical skills are also very important, comprising of teamwork, facility readiness, and various simulations that we routinely do, and debriefing whenever we come across a patient of PPH. Thank you so much.
Adna madam, you want to add something?
Yeah. Thank you, Mitra madam, for such elaborate talk. I just wanted to say I just used carbetocin in last month itself for one of my primary patient who had undergone cesarean. For indication was prolonged labor and little fetal distress because the baby had started passing meconium. So I had taken the patient for emergency C-section, and after removal of placenta, patient landed up with atonic PPH. No obviously high risk factor. She was no PIH, no diabetic, routine low risk patient, and uterus just didn't contract for almost 10 minutes. So as a routine, as you rightly said, we still believe in pitocin, prostaglandin, and methergine. So all the 3 drugs were given, and uterus failed to contract after 20 minutes. And then I used carbetocin, and it really worked wonderfully. After carbetocin, the uterus contracted well, and post-operative patient did not have even the blood loss was even, I would say, less than average. She required 2 blood transfusions intra-op for the maintenance of blood pressure because the hypotension, she had hypotension, systolic BP had gone down to 70 by then. So, but after carbetocin, the uterus contracted well, and then patient did very well post-op. That's the feedback of carbetocin. I used it for the first time last month.
Actually, more than the, if I may be allowed to say something, more than the theoretical discussion, it's the personal use of any drug which actually gives confidence to your own self and to all of us. See, I do respect the evidence, but I also respect the experience, because personally, like I always use oxytocin, and of course, as doctor has said that we use methergine and carboprost, but maybe personally, now that I have carbetocin, if the oxytocin is not effective, I would go for carbetocin earlier than trying the others, because we know that carbetocin is better than ergot alkaloids. It is better than carboprost, and it is on the same lines as oxytocin, but it has prolonged action. So yes, thank you for sharing your experience. And I personally feel very, very empowered now because of carbetocin. Because previously I used to feel scared कि अगर ये काम नहीं करेगा तो क्या होगा, वो नहीं करेगा तो. But this way, carbetocin is a very reassuring molecule, and I'm actually quite happy and waiting, excited कि चलो we'll be using it. Yes, I'm not going to use it like prophylactically. Prophylactic, exactly. But it will be my first choice of second line. That is what I am. That is in my mind.
Okay.
Dr. Vede, your comments, please.
Mitra ma'am, meanwhile, let me ask you one question. Few days back, I was giving this lecture on this particular molecule. Then I was asked one question. It was an online library paper which has summarized few findings. It is routine to give a uterotonic drug following delivery. However, there is much heterogeneity in the relevant research, and this is reflected in considerable variation in clinical practice. There is a significant difference between the dose requirement during elective and intrapartum C-section of the dose of uterotonics. So what they are saying, carbetocin, even though at equipotent doses to oxytocin, has similar action, but as with oxytocin, carbetocin dose requirements are higher for intrapartum C-section. Here we are advising only single dose. So how they are saying that the carbetocin dose requirements are higher with intrapartum C-section? This question was asked to me, but I couldn't answer this question.
I am not able to actually understand the question very accurately, because my understanding of use of any uterotonic in for the procedure of active management of third stage of labor. We have to understand that what are we, see the, it is the timing and whatever uterotonic you are using, whether it is intrapartum cesarean section or vaginal delivery, What you are achieving with prophylactic use of uterotonic is that it is going, the uterine contraction, if you hadn't used a uterotonic, uterus would have retracted in its own time. And while it would have been retracting, the placenta would have got separated normally. So now you are hastening that with whatever uterotonic you have. And the prescribed ones are oxytocin or symptometrin or carbetocin. So I just feel it's the rationale which has to be correct. Once the baby is out, you give a uterotonic, the uterus will contract. Immediately when the uterus contracts, your placenta will have separated out. So I will not be able to answer this question because I'm not a researcher, but I can only say that go with the rationale. And what we are doing in practice is very, very rational and correct. We are not doing incorrect. We are not using 20 units to contract the uterus. The bolus which we are giving IM is just 5 units. I give 5 units IM even during cesarean section. Intrapartum also, my anesthetist gives 5, not in twins, but in all single sons. So the rationale is just that within 2 minutes, the uterus will have contracted. I just go with the, pharmacology and the physiology of a drug and how it will act on the uterus. So I'm unable to understand the question, so it's okay. Let's be very practical that whether it is after delivery, vaginally, or after delivery of the baby during cesarean section. So that is, the baby should be out, uterus has to be made to contract. So the dose is very, standard dose. It's not like this, you will be giving 20 units. It's just small bolus of IM or carbetocin as it is 100 microgram. So it's standard. If anybody else can, rationalize or has reviewed literature more deeply to answer or understand the question in the first place.
Yes, I will post you.
Yeah. Dr. Atul is here. Good evening, Dr. Atul.
Good evening. So basically, I don't think there is any difference between the two doses. I have extensively reviewed the literature. You just need to give carbetocin as soon as the baby comes
I thought
out.
It's the rationale of how the drugs act.
I have used it in about 6 patients in the last 7 days. And only on 1 patient did I need to use additional misoprostol. So it works very well. We don't have to give anything in the infusion. Our standard protocol used to be 5 bolus and 15 in the drip. We don't need to do that any further. And it does not cause any fluid retention. So the urine output doesn't get affected. The V1, V2 receptors, it doesn't act on the V2 receptors. So maybe some of the time we can have a larger discussion, but I think this is the drug of choice today. Works extremely well.
Yeah.
Especially in the periphery where refrigeration is an issue. I don't think we should become finance ministers of our patients. But if it can save blood, if it can save additional uterotonic agents, I think it's well worth it.
In any case, in the periphery, it's the government sector, so they are not garib. The private practitioners have to look at the pricing. Yes. Chalo, Dr. Alka.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Rashmi. Rashmi, you are not audible, please.
I think her net is low.
Yes, Rashmi, you are audible now.
Okay. So now we will have another talk, which would be given by Dr. Atul Ganatra sir. So I invite chairperson Dr. Ashish Kubde sir and Dr. Pranav Akhade. So both are the laparoscopic surgeons. So over to chairpersons, Dr. Pranav Akhade and Dr. Ashish Kubde.
Thank you, Rashmi. Now the second part of this our CME, that is the internal localization. Friends, this PPH is always without warning. It's always an accident. And the first line of treatment is the medical management. And you have seen the nice deliberation by Dr. Mitra Saxena ma'am. The new drug carbetocin, I hope it will always make the change. But if every time you are not lucky that your PPH is managed by the medical management, and you have to raise the alarm. The systematic stepwise devascularization is the key. If your work does not done by either the oleary stitch, that is uterine artery ligation, or the ovarian artery ligation, then naturally the last resort for is the internal ligation. Friends, last month we were with Atul Bhai, we were on the same platform of this Safe Motherhood Committee CME for the UP people, and I have seen his video. It was a really amazing, wonderful video with lot of anatomical as well as the photographic clarity. और उसी दिन मैंने डिसाइड किया था that Atul Ganatra sir, Atul Bhai has to present this video in our society also. Welcome, Atul Bhai. I do not have the formal CV in my hand regarding the Atul Bhai, but whatever I know about him, he is a thorough gentleman, the practitioner from the Mumbai, and he is the past vice president of the FOXI. Everybody knows he is not a new face for as far as Nagpur is concerned. He was many times in the Nagpur OBGY society functions, or he might many times in the Rajesh Modi's functions. And another one of the identity is Atul Bhai is a multilinguistic person. Marathi, English, Hindi, Gujarati, Kannada, any language. कोणत्याही भाषेत तो इतका सुंदर अप्रतिम संवाद साधतो. He communicate in any of the language. Thank you. The stage is yours, Atul Bhai. Just mesmerized by your this anatomical wonderful video.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor, and I've always considered Nagpur as my second home. I think maximum presentations I must have given in Nagpur in my academic career. Can I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
Can you all see my screen now?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
So Ashish showed us the stepwise devascularization in a brilliant way. I've seen Ashish do vaginal hysterectomies, and I think he's more mesmerizing doing vaginal surgeries. And I've learned so many steps, and in fact, bought a couple of his instruments also. So thank you very much, Ashish. Thank you, Dr. Shanta Kumari, the team of office bearers, Kavita, Dr. Alka, Dr. Mitra Saxena, again, chairperson of the Practical Obstetrics Committee, and Ashish, of course, the secretary. I was late in joining this conference because I was invited, I'm just called as an emergency. A colleague of mine was doing a placenta previa, and she found that there were large lakes of vessels bleeding while she was doing the cesarean. I got away with just taking a few sutures here, but sometimes you may not be so lucky. Another patient who was brought to us was a deaf and mute priming gravida. Husband and wife were both deaf and mute. After having undergone an obstetric hysterectomy done for BPH, and she was referred to us at Fortis. Refused admission at a major BMC hospital. When she came to us, there was no pulse and blood pressure. HP was 2 grams, platelet 1.9. I mean, INR was 1.9, platelet was 40. And as you can see in the drain, there was about 1000 cc blood already. Mind you, she had already undergone an obstetric hysterectomy. The only thing that was left to us, no COVID test done. We were worried. Fortunately, we have a very, very strong team at Fortis. She was resuscitated immediately. We did a CT angio. And as you can see here in the CT angio, the ovarian vessel was bleeding. So you could see here the oozing here. We immediately went ahead and did ovarian artery embolization. We had to give her 12 PRBCs, 20 FFPs, 24 cryoprecipitates, and did the embolization. And if we would have done stepwise devascularization like what Ashish would have taught, the gynecologist would refer the patient to us, or even taken the oleary stitch. Maybe this patient would not have had a problem. Our major problem was both were deaf and mute, and we could not communicate with them. There was just one relative and an anesthetist who had brought the patient. The patient was already intubated. Unfortunately, she went home in 3 days after the procedure. So the first principle of medicine we must understand is primum non nocere. And this is something that I've learned from Dr. Shariar, my mentor. Do no harm. First, do no harm. And that is the oath that we take when we do our medicine. We do not grow when things are easy. We grow when we face challenges. And I know Ashish does a lot of obstetric hysterectomies in Nagpur for a lot of colleagues. I'm going to be very specific in my talk. I talk only about internal iliac ligation. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. Patients who are at imminent risk of exsanguination, that is patients in shock, patients who are anticipated to go into shock, we must apply manual aortic compression. I think this is something that Dr. Pagli taught us with his aortic clamp. The surgeon should apply direct pressure to the aorta to compress it against the vertebrae a few centimeters superior to the sacral promontory, the bifurcation of the common iliac arteries just distal to this point. This should be applied till help comes. Do not be apprehensive. You cannot tear an artery. The artery is a very, very strong structure. Compression can be applied using a closed fist or the heel of the hand. This is the two levels on which you can apply the compression. Even if you have taken a transverse incision, it's not easy to do this. And worse come worse, you could take an inverted T incision. Balloon occlusion of the aorta is the second thing that you could do. We've done this in a couple of patients in Fortis Hospital. That is, we do resuscitative endovascular balloon that is applied. Take the patient to the cath lab, apply the balloon through the iliac up to the iliacs. As soon as the baby is delivered, you kind of infuse or a Neal catheter is placed as low as possible around the lower uterine segment without incorporating the urinary bladder. And that the two ends are pulled in the opposite direction as tightly as possible around the corpus to mechanically occlude the vascular supply. And a second or a third tourniquet can be applied as well. So these are places where you can apply the tourniquet. This is something that is doable. It's very, very easy. So this is something that we must remember. And I think another chart that we can keep in the hospital. Dr. Ashish has already spoken about how the oleary stitch can be taken, how the ovarian artery can be taken selectively. The third possibility is applying the Bakri balloon. I think it has been discussed already. I think it's cost around 10,000 rupees, but every 5 gynec should pull in about 2,000 rupees each. One can keep it in their hospital and it can be used in an emergency in case of an atonic PPH. You can get many of such balloons. You get a double balloon of ebb also, which second one can go into the vagina, the first one in the uterus, because if there is a placenta previa, this is what is going to work. This one may not work because you are in the lower segment where the problem is. So devices of uterine tamponade can be many. I think the Bakri balloon and the ebb balloon probably score. You can even use the shifter's pack, then you just use the condom and apply the tamponade. Now, ligation of the uterine and the uterovarian arteries is another step. You can apply just clamps in the infundopelvic ligament and arrest the bleeding. And if you can see, I think Ashish talks about it, that a lot of the blood supply to the uterus comes from the ovarian artery. So you can apply a clamp over there and arrest the bleeding temporarily. You can apply the Heyman stitch, the Pereira stitch, or the very famous Beelen suture as well. This is another thing that you could do. But if nothing works, we may have to do what is called as the internal iliac ligation before it is too late, because if DIC sets in, nothing will work. And sometimes it is essential to do something like this. Very, very simple procedures, requires only 4 instruments. And we'll just show you the trolley. This is the trolley that is required to do the internal iliac artery. You need 2 or 3 good Beaver's forceps, a spongina holder, a mixer, and a disposable suction. Remember this, because the tip of a disposable suction does 90% of your dissection. You don't have to use a lot of cautery or scissors to do any kind of dissection. So I think this is one trolley which you should be ready with at all times. We'll now go on to the surgical aspect of it. So basically, remember that the incision has to be taken between the round ligament and the fallopian tube. So one person is pulling the uterus upwards. There is one Devers which is facing towards the liver, and one Devers which is holding the ureter away from you. We've learned this procedure from Dr. Khalid, who's one of the leading gynecologists in critical care medicine. As you can see, very small incision is taken in the infundopelvic ligament. That is, I'm sorry, the area between the tube and the round ligament. You could use a silly scissors, or you could use a cautery. As soon as you have done that, the finger does the rest of the dissection. Here, sir is using the cautery, but this is a wonderful method. When I saw it and when I was being trained by him, use the Devers forceps. This one takes the iliac vessels away. The second one keeps the ureter away from you. And if you have the third one, you could apply it lower down over here. Now, If you see, the structures are right there in front of you. The most important structure you need to remember is the ureter. This is the ureter you need to be very, very careful about. This is the bifurcation almost there. Ureter you can see right here. That is the only structure that you need to be worried about. The second thing you need to do is use the blunt dissection to dissect this vessel. You can pick this vessel up with a Babcock. As you can see, go from left to right. Remember, go from left to right because the iliac vein is just below that. You can do this in a normal cesarean. Pass a mixture forceps. Do not dissect. Use your suction tip again to create the area. You can see the ureter moving here. Just create a space. You can see the external iliac artery here. Create a space. There you can see. And just take a vicryl suture and pass it through there. Do not tie a knot. Do not do anything else. And the vicryl has to be fed into the mixture. You do not do any movements because you know vital structures. More worried about the iliac vein. Artery, you cannot damage the artery. Trust me, hold it with even an Alice forceps and you cannot damage it. Just remember that you're going from left to right or lateral to medial. There it is done. This takes exactly 3 minutes. We've done 21 cases now in the last couple of years. As you can see now, just tie a knot there. This is a case that we did about a year ago in which a patient used to have a lot of pain abdomen, case of multiple fibroids with pregnancy. After we got when we opened the abdomen, you could see one of the fibroids had undergone complete necrosis. We'd already taken consent. After the baby was delivered, we did internal ligation and did myomectomy and removed all the 7 fibroids from the uterus. Not something that we propagate, not something that we do routinely. I may have done only about single numbers of myomectomies with cesarean. You do it only if the myoma comes in your way. There are others who do it routinely, but we don't believe in doing it routinely unless it is absolutely necessary. But here, since we had to do this one, we said we will go ahead and remove all of them, and we did it with very little bleeding. No blood transfusion was given. Again, intraoperative cell salvage. This is something that we need to develop. I think Dr. Mitra Saxena, we need to save blood when we are losing blood in PPH, and this is very, very important. Arranging for cell salvage in cases at high risk for PPH appears to be economically reasonable. We are a cardiac transplant unit, and we do this very routinely at Fortis Hospital. Successful emergency management depends upon experience and expertise. Experience tells you what to do. Confidence allows you to do it. I think it was our goal as when I took over as vice president that we would do these workshops, but Corona had its own views, and hopefully now the next batch of office bearers will do these live workshops and teach every gynecologist periphery to the urban areas should be able to do internal ligation, and I'm sure this will save a lot of lives. It takes 3 minutes to do one side. The right is much easier than the left. Never stop doing your best just because somebody doesn't give you credit. And of course, know thyself, know your capacity. Always call a senior colleague or somebody more experienced to help you in a situation of crisis. Thank you very much for the patience here.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Atul, I've always listened to your lecture, and any number of times I look in here, I really feel that yes, your mission and vision is exactly what I have in mind. And definitely people like you who are senior and who have got much more experience how to coordinate need all your guidance so that we can actually translate your dream, my dream, everybody's dream. And finally, it is everybody, all obstetricians, skill enhancement and amount of confidence we will have in dealing with these patients is just too much. So I think, Dr. Atul,
Thank you, Dr. Ashish, for the opportunity.
Grateful that you are my advisor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful talk. Now I request chairpersons to sum up the talk. Dr. Ashish sir and Dr. Pranav. Please unmute yourself. Dr. Pranav, please unmute yourself.
Good evening, everyone. So it was a very nice webinar on the PPH, which is nightmare for all the obstetrician. And here, Madam and Ganatra sir has explained in both the ways, medical as well as the surgical one. And here, I thank you, Atul Ganatra sir, explaining the surgical point of view, the management of PPH, and nice descriptive steps of the internal iliac artery ligation. And apart from that, we till now the concentrating on the only internal iliac artery ligation. But apart from that, the actual devascularization of the uterus at the every level, he has explained very nicely. So definitely it will help all the obstetrician to tackle their nightmare and manage the patient effectively. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Ashish sir?
Yeah, it was a fantastic anatomical presentation, as already I have explained. इतना प्यारा वो वीडियो है, because it's not easy to record this video of internal iliac ligation. I know very well. And in that video, to show all the anatomical details, all three parallel tubular structures. Many times what happens, the new surgeon always gets confused between these tubular structures which are parallel and which are very close to each other. And accidentally, instead of the internal iliac ligation, if somebody performs the external iliac ligation, then the whole limb, the patient has to lose the whole limb, because it is the end artery to the limb. But remember, one more thing I will like to emphasize, that कि ये जो इतना easily अतुल भाई ने किया है, he has performed this surgery with so much ease. It is not possible every time, because for that you have to practice on the routinely you have to practice on the normal patient. If you routinely practice, then only you can execute those things in the time of emergency. And remember, all this you have to perform in a time-bound manner. As Atul bhai said, ये सब चीजों को 3 minutes लगा. And really, the time required or time given to you to perform this procedure should be not more than 3 to 4 minutes. If you perform it very nicely, but if you took 30 minutes, then it is of no use. Really wonderful presentation. Thank you, Atul bhai, for your deliberation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Rashmi, please.
Am I audible?
Yes.
My internet connection is unstable actually. So thank you very much. Thank you all the participants and for making this.
Any questions?
Yes.
Any questions in the chat box?
No, ma'am. There's no more. Not a single question is there. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to add something, ma'am? Alka ma'am?
Thank you. Yes.
So I thank all the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rashmi.